How many record blood moons have there been?
Well, what is it, 3? The 4th is coming up?
I mean, I don't even put stake in all this, but the elites do. They're obsessed with it all. Final segment of the main radio broadcast. We're in a little 5-minute overdrive that's internet only. Infowars.com/show. Well, some stations carry the 4th hour, so that's not quite true. I want to thank all of our affiliates out there. Be sure and support them. Be sure and support the sponsors. Spread the word. Some of the stories up on Infowars.com. Explosive new documents reveal Obama-Clinton spin and lies on Benghazi. Al Gore's climate change lies exposed. The latest on that. Now he says in a few more years we'll be all flooded and dead, basically. Of course, he said in 2007 it would be by 2013. Leftists exploit biker bloodbaths to complain about white privilege. They say, why isn't the National Guard out on the street? Because they arrested everybody. It happened in a localized area. It isn't just random people going out and burning stuff. It was a outlaw motorcycle gang impromptu rally. And the whole thing's very suspicious. Now they got a giant rot rally coming up in Austin, Texas, and who knows what's going to happen with that. Most of the bike riders are great people. I don't care if you want to wear an outfit and be part of a club. Talking about the criminal groups claim they're anti-establishment, but all I see is them working with the establishment with their drug dealing and all the rest of it. Going back to Steve Quayle, we're taking phone calls. Steve, what do you think is really going on with this? I mean, you say you have some questions about it. Why does everything keep popping up in Texas?
Well, I think that Texas, number one, has one of the the strongest real-based economies in the world without massive amounts of debt. Number two, it's the spirit of the Alamo. Number three, it basically is because if that secret agreement that is in place that I've been told that you've been affirmed that it is too, to return Azatlan to Mexico, then obviously the greatest resistance is going to come from Texas. Texas has a history, and by the way, wasn't there a TV series out or HBO special called The Sons of Texas? I think there was or something, or is coming out, and I thought that was very prophetic in its timing. So it's because of the border, it's because of the strength of the people, it's because you're obviously a God-fearing state, historically, with, minor exceptions in some of the politics, and the idea of all of the assets that are available in Texas, meaning they all...
Oh, it's definitely its own standalone country, and the U.S. surpassed a year ago Saudi Arabia in global production. That's mainly Texas, is the biggest oil producer in the world. It has its own infrastructure. They look at the demographics, and they know politically Texas is not going to say yes to the New World Order, and so Jade Helm is a dry run. We're not demonizing the military. It's there to condition them as well. Rich in Ohio, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex and Steve.
Welcome.
What a combination. It's great to talk to both of you guys at the same time. You guys are excellent. I watch your videos and, I connect the dots.
Thank you, brother.
You're both skirting around the big dots. You both see it, but you don't see it.
Well, hey, you're on the air. No, don't need to preface it. Got a minute?
And then look at Richard Shaw's new production on the Torah codes. And these are the two biggest dots that are interconnected that you're missing.
I've been on the air for 20 years, and I'm always hearing about Planet X. I know there's a Kuiper belt. There's an asteroid belt. I know we get struck by big objects. I know it's real. But people are always saying it's coming in 2-3 years, and it just becomes this all-encompassing thing. I know governments are dug in. 4 big collisions, comets, you name that. So I know that's a real threat. Yellowstone, supervolcano, all of it. But to just say it's this and it's going to happen, I don't think we can say that. Steve Quayle?
I agree with you, Alex. I hear about Yellowstone's going to blow any minute. I fly down there almost weekly sometimes. I'm down there. It's not ready to blow. The bottom line is it doesn't do you good to worry about Planet X if you're going to get wiped out, in August, September, should Jade Helm go active. The timing is always the issue.
Stay there, Steve. Back in 70 seconds. I want you to finish up. SteveQuayle.com, Alex Jones, Infowars.com. Nightly News Tonight, 7. The over-the-top nature of reality is why so many people just can't wake up, because it is legendary, epic, what's happening. And let's say we're exaggerating, and half of it's true. It's still over-the-top insane. And unfortunately, I think it's probably worse than we're saying in many respects. the elite have gone insane like Caligula. I want to go to Max, Mike, and others here in just a moment. And I want to give final comment real quick after that to Steve Quayle. I really appreciate riding shotgun with us today. Max has a question for Steve Quayle on weather weapons. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex Jones and Quayle Man. I was wondering with the weather weapons that use electrofrequency, magnetism, microwaves, and also chemicals, do those interfere also with, I naturally assume so, the human body and mind, and also a further extension of MK Ultra?
Are you asking me if it can affect the human mind?
If they're also used to affect the human mind, yes.
Thank you, Max.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, Alex's phone broke up or something. I could barely hear.
Yeah, that's why I let him go. His phone went bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many studies. You can go on the internet, electronic mind control. Also, it's possible to produce heart attacks. I mean, they have electromagnetic weapons, and I believe that's what they used on Breitbart when they killed him within 5 or 10 minutes after National Defense Authorization Act, 1867 was in place. Andrew Breitbart was dead.
What about Michael Hastings and blowing his car up? I mean, they really are killing people.
Yeah, for a certainty, and I've done my homework, Alec. It's just on Weather Wars. People say, well, they can't do that. I'm just telling you, they can, and when I've spent, I'm looking at my, 400, 500 footnotes, whatever there is, the point is yes, they can, yes, they are, and yes, they will.
We're not in Kansas anymore, as I say every day. I mean, we are in a futuristic weirdo land, and the public still thinks we're back in 1950. We're not. Let's talk to, let's go ahead and talk to Drew in Missouri. You're on the air with Steve Quayle. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, great talking with you two. Real quick, my question is, I got 2 small kids, and I want to be prepared for this upcoming Civil War. What are the 3, maybe 3 top things you suggest a guy should do? I got a farm, I can prepare and self-sustain. What do you suggest, like guns and ammo, silver and gold, stockpile food and water?
Yeah, by the way, they've been holding gold down. It's starting to go back up. Steve Quayle, what would you do, the top things to get ready for the unraveling of society, which we know is coming? The only question is when.
Right. Well, this is going to sound extreme, but at the time, when I say extreme, at some point, all of us have to throw our smartphones away, okay? That's true. That's a radio tracking beat.
Oh, yeah, they track you everywhere you go with it.
Yeah, but the number one, food first. What I'm telling everybody, Alex, food prices are going to rise. Food will be available, but at nothing near recognizable prices. So no matter what a budget is, I know the farmer's got food and stuff stored up. You have to have a form of self-defense. You must absolutely, and be familiar with it. I'm sorry, a father is charged biblically to protect his family. And Alex, you've gone on record, I've gone on record, there's nobody, as long as we're alive and God gives us grace and breath, that are going to harm the...
That's right, and it's not we're looking for violence. You've just got to be ready to kill for your family and already be preset that you're not going to think about it when the time comes or you'll be dead.
Absolutely. The other thing you've got to think about is having a secondary location. Everybody needs a back door. By back door, if you have land, sir, make sure that you have other areas on your land besides the home. The point is that, you've got to get a realistic working knowledge of the things that disappear first, and you want to be where everyone else isn't when the cash, you're killing cash. So the only way people outside of the system who won't take the mark of the beast will be able to do any type of commerce is with gold and silver. There's an attack on that. They've kept it down. It's getting ready to move, and we're watching that in the last 3 days.
That's right. I want to have you up very soon, if you can do it, Steve, to break down, because you're a top prepper, one of the main founding guys. You never talk about that, about just the war on individualism, on cash, on farming, on the family.
Hello and welcome back to Planet Nibiru. As always, I'd like to take a moment to thank everyone who subscribes, likes, and comments on our videos. It's an honor to have you as part of our community. Today, we will be discussing some rather serious news about the comet that has left the orbit of Nibiru and is heading straight towards Earth. As with any celestial body that is headed in our direction, there are many theories and projections as to where it may eventually end up. But this one in particular is intriguing, and according to one doomsday theorist, it might just be the one that finally does us in. It's no surprise that Earth is in the shooting gallery of comets, asteroids, and space debris, as we can see clearly from this depiction. This is what happens in space all the time, we just don't see it. Most of these objects, the ones in red, are called sun divers and are pulled into our sun by its massive gravity, causing us no concern. But last year, NASA detected an object that could be a comet or an asteroid on a path towards Earth. The space agency claims the mysterious object will pass safely at a distance of nearly 32 million miles from Earth. But one self-proclaimed astronomer has come up with an alternative theory, suggesting that the asteroid could crash into Earth, wiping out cities, continents, and even causing a mega tsunami. The strange object was discovered last year, and it is theorized that over the last 5 years it has traveled inward toward the center of our solar system, passing just under the main asteroid belt and under the orbit of Mars until it will swing just inside Earth's own orbit. The object, which is a blurred line between an asteroid and a comet, was discovered by NASA's NEOWISE mission. Self-proclaimed Russian astronomer Dr. Diomin Damir Zakharovich has said it is heading straight towards our planet. He states, "The object left the Nibiru system in October when Nibiru began spinning counterclockwise around the Sun. Since then, NASA has known it will hit Earth, but they are refusing to tell people. If the asteroid hit Earth," he says, "it could destroy cities, countries, or cause a tsunami that could take out an entire continent. We are all in peril," he states with a stern look on his face. NASA, on the other hand, does not think the object will hit Earth. Instead, it is saying it will pass nearly 32 million miles away from our planet. The trajectory of the object is well understood, and the object is not a threat to the Earth for the foreseeable future, says NASA. What NASA scientists do know is that the object is relatively large, about a half a mile across. It is also quite dark, reflecting only a few % of the light that falls on its surface. Its body resembles a comet in its reflectivity in orbit, but it appears to lack the characteristic dust and gas cloud tail that defines a comet. The object could have cometary origins, said Deputy Principal Investigator James Gerbs Bauer at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. But according to reports, Dr. Zakharovich has said that his data reveals a very different background. He claims that the comet or asteroid originated from the planet Nibiru. He says that the object left the Nibiru system in October when Nibiru began spinning counterclockwise around the Sun. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the planet Nibiru is set to enter our solar system this year, after being driven here by the gravitational force from a binary star twin of our Sun. They go on to claim that this accounts for the strange weather patterns, uptick in earthquakes, and volcanoes worldwide. Nibiru, sometimes referred to as Planet X, is a hypothesized planet, small star, or mini-solar system on the edge of our own solar system. NASA itself claims that there is evidence that there is something large at the edge of our solar system that is causing perturbations in the planetary orbits and possibly causing a large amount of asteroids to be hurled towards our Sun. Some of these come into contact with Earth's orbit, such as the Chelyabinsk meteorite that exploded over Russia on February 15th of 2013. The existence of an extrasolar entity large enough to cause these problems was also proposed by astronomers at Caltech in January last year. Conspiracy theorists believe that the gravitational influence of the rogue planet Nibiru disrupted the orbits of other planets hundreds of years ago, and perhaps even caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. They go on to surmise that the next disruptive passage into the solar system could happen at any time. So get in the comment section and let us know what you think. Do you think that this rogue asteroid could cause Earth a problem? Do you believe that the Nibiru system will finally make its grand entrance sometime in 2017? Do you think that Nibiru is at the center of all of the weather anomalies, the uptick in earthquakes and volcanism that we're seeing worldwide? Please let us know. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back with another video very soon.
On today's program, I interview Marshall Masters. Marshall Masters is a former CNN Science Features news producer, freelance writer, television analyst, and the publisher of MarshallMasters.com. Since 1999, he has been researching Earth changes and Nibiru flyby-related topics including sustainable survival communities, catastrophic crop circles, impact events, and future technologies. To learn more about Marshall Masters, visit MarshallMasters.com. In this presentation, we discuss his article, Is Planet X Nearing Perihelion? And how to prepare for the coming worldwide mass extinction event known as Planet X. Like the show, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and enjoy the show. Marshall Masters, welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on.
Marshall, before we get going here, is Planet X and Nibiru the same thing?
Yes. And actually, what we talk about is the Planet X system, because we have a brown dwarf star that's a small companion star to Sol, which is called Nemesis. When I was in high school, many, many eons and hairlines ago, that was the big rage. Everybody was talking about, do we live in a binary star system? Because 90% of the solar systems in our galaxy have multiple suns. And there's a lot to indicate that we as well, are living in a binary or maybe even a trinary system. And Nemesis is a mini constellation. Nemesis is in this comet-like orbit clockwise around the sun, spends most of its time in the southern skies below us. When it bounces up into the northern skies, reaches its point of perihelion, its closest distance to the sun, and then heads back south, that's when things start to really go south for us. And that's the bad time. And so it has planets and moons around it. And like, in our solar system, we have major planets, we have minor planets, all right? And same with that. I talk about the Nemesis star and its three major planets, which are innermost, which is Helion. And Helion is a bright gaseous star-like planet. And then there's Arbota, which is the second out from Nemesis, and that is a small rocky planet and habitable. And then the third, which is Nibiru. Nibiru is the outermost, and actually the name Nibiru stands for the planet of crossing. And so when we're talking about Nibiru and we're talking about Nemesis, we're talking about the same mini constellation. The term Planet X was really brought into existence by the astronomer Percival Lowell. And there's been an ongoing search for this thing for hundreds of years. When we talk about Uranus, that was the first planet that was discovered with a telescope. But Neptune was the first planet discovered with mathematics. And what happened was that they knew where Neptune was because of the perturbations they observed in the orbit of Uranus. And literally just, zoomed right in on it mathematically. And once they made that determination, it was very, very quickly discovered. And then Neptune was observed to have similar perturbations. And then astronomers back then understood that there was this ongoing search for Neptune's perturber, which the term Planet X just simply means there's something big out there, but we're not exactly sure as to where to find it, but we know it exists by the manner in which it interacts with other objects in our solar system. And so that was the big reason why Percival Lowell founded the Lowell Observatory. So that gives you an idea of what we're looking at. We have a mini constellation coming through. That's the reason why I call it the Planet X system. It's just, when I first started, it was just Planet X. But as we learn more about what we're dealing with, then I started calling it a system, because that's really what it is. It's a mini, or more specifically, it's a mini constellation.
When I was a kid in the mid-'80s, we all talked about Planet X. We understood it to be the undiscovered planet beyond Pluto.
Correct. And so, yep, you guys were, and interestingly enough, there was an awful lot of really good reporting in mainstream media about Planet X. And then it just all died. And it didn't die from a lack of interest. It died because there was a concerted effort to kill the topic. And that really came into being after the 1983 IRAS mission. And whistleblowers who saw the original files on this, and this comes from different whistleblowers with same access to the same files. And these gentlemen, Bob Dean is one. I think he's a very, very fine gentleman. And he's really getting on up there. I don't even know if he's still with us. But there were others. And interestingly enough, they weren't the officers who knew this information. They were non-commissioned officers, the guys with all the chevrons up and down on their slaves. And because these are the guys that they would put in the secrets vaults, and they would have the key to all the secrets. Now, if you were an officer, you had different levels of security, and you could see this, but you couldn't see that. But for these sergeants who were in charge of maintaining all of this, they had the absolute highest security level, because they had the key to the kingdom. They could see anything. And they didn't have a lot of folks coming down and asking them for things as a rule. So what do? You're sitting there kind of bored, and you start pulling out file jackets and readings. And these guys would start reading about all of this, and it would just drop them on their head. And because IRAS found Nemesis, and it just showed up like a sore thumb. Now, it was in the infrared. Now, here's the thing about brown dwarf stars. And they're actually stars that have just been recently discovered. And what we're finding is that they're far more common in our solar system, in our galaxy, than our type of star. Far more common. And these things are, in terms of their mass, they're about 10 to 15 times that of